How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting. Welcome back to chaoschild, where, let's see, interesting things have been going on. We actually got tested, and I thought that testing was going to be a big turning point, reveal of some cahoots and stuff going on, and maybe that's still true, but so far it just seems to have cleared us, which is kind of surprising, that they saw certain anomalies in the brains of the victims who were confirmed, or were basically confirmed gigalomaniacs, but we didn't see anything similar to that in us, active gigalomaniacs. So I'm curious to see where that's going. Maybe that brain swelling has more to do with the attack, whatever the psychic attack that made them do those terrible things to themselves was. Also, yeah, okay. I'm not going to say too much. Basically, I've decided to do something very fun, and I'm probably going to whip up an announcement for it to come out maybe on Monday or something. I'll probably work on it over the weekend, and we're going to be doing something kind of interesting in the coming weeks. Well, it's for a week, but just know there's a special event. I'm very happy to be able to be a part of it, and I think it's a great way to do something I've always wanted to do, which is support, shout out, and give some TLC, like tender love and care, TLC, yeah, to some of the VM indie developers that are out there. They're trying to make, games and, push the visual novel genre further along. So just keep an eye out for that. Very excited, but I'll have a formal announcement coming up soon. Just keep an eye out. And, yeah, hopefully you'll be interested to see what I've got cooking. Anyway, without that, I guess the other thing is that we're here, we know that we're likely being hunted, and I imagine that's going to get rough, especially because specifically, if Senri's hunting us, she likes setting fires. And this is a house I don't want fires being set in. So I'm a little nervous about that. But I'm not sure what else we can do. Really, genuinely, I'm not sure what else we can do. Anyway. Alright. I think that's good enough for now. We basically just we're waiting for a shoe to drop at this point. I'm not sure if we have anywhere we can go with our investigation at this stage. So we'll kind of have to just wait for whatever's happening. So, let's get started and see what goes on, shall we? The Shibuya earthquake and that strange light, and the relationship they likely have with our powers. I rolled around in my bed, thinking about everything that had happened, and then I looked back at the crazy look in Kunasato-san's eyes. They looked just like the pyrokinetic. Revenge. So, that's implying, someone kind of hinted at this a bit when I was talking about how Mio, really, made me upset. Someone was pointing out that there's, definitely a personal thing in that past, and I think I agree and genuinely can see that. So, apparently a gigalomaniac did something terrible to her, or someone she cares about. Does Minamisawa Senri hate me for what I did that day? Does she still hate me even now?
そんなバカな。子供の頃の話だぞ。いくらなんでもそんな昔のことで。
Bro, you might have been a little kid, but so was she. I don't think she would have seen it that way. In her state, she probably just saw, there's someone who can help me, and they didn't. I tried to say that aloud to convince myself, but that pyrokinetic wasn't behaving like a normal person. It was hard to think she was sane. She was a beast, an animal without a conscience that was stalking the streets of Shibuya with bared fangs. At least that's how she'd seemed to me. And that terrifying words that she said when she saw me. She had looked at me and said, "I found you."
結局、僕は知らないうちに自分の命をわざわざ危険にさらすような事件に首を突っ込んでしまってたのか。
Probably. The more I thought about it, the more my blood began to run cold. If I'd known this was going to happen, I would have just listened to Kurusu from the very beginning.
って何を弱気になってんだ。
I sat up on the bed. That's right, I had my power. Even if that woman was Minamisawa Senri, she was trying to kill me out of revenge. I wouldn't just sit there and let her. But what if she attacked me when I was with Kurusu? And what if things got so dangerous I couldn't protect my own life or Kurusu's without killing her? Could I really kill Minamisawa Senri right in front of Kurusu? Oh no, wait. Whose phone is that? That's can't be ours. I almost jumped out of the sudden noise. The sound was from my new smartphone. Okay, so he got a new phone finally. I'd finally gotten a new one before I went to the hospital today. I'd totally forgotten. But yeah, it's funny because like even now, oh, I just realized even now I have my glasses on, probably reflecting the screen. Apologies, been busy. So I'm having the creepy flashbacks, right? Because last time we sat in a room waiting for the shoe to drop and heard a cell phone ring in the room. That was the hand phone, and that was the worst thing I had ever seen. I remembered how I'd gotten a call from my old phone after I'd lost it and hesitated a little. I looked at the screen, trembling. Caller, Onoe Serika. It better just be her. If it's someone else, I'm gonna die.
もしもし。
ああ、タク？やっほー。
やっほー。
どうしたんだよ。
もしかしてご機嫌斜め？今日の検査で何かあった？
Oh, you know, the typical stuff.
そういうわけじゃないけど。
ダメだよ、ごまかしても。そういう声の時のタクはだいたい悩んでる時なんだから。
Well, I mean, Serika, you're a sweetheart. There's so much to be worried about right now. Evidently, it wasn't just Kurusu and Arimura who could tell when I was lying.
で、何を悩んでたの？
I wasn't sure if I should tell her, but it was Serika I was talking to after all. I told her everything I've been thinking about.
白い光？
あの時、尾上も僕と一緒にいたよな。何か覚えてないか？
それがね、私倒れて気絶しちゃってたから光とか見てないんだ。ほら、タクが病院まで運んでくれたでしょ？
But why was she out cold? I would have guessed she was out cold because of the light, because that sent a lot of people, especially like, well, at least from what we can tell, the sensitive people were basically not comatose.
ああ、そういえばそうだったな。
I could still remember how Serika felt when I'd carried her on my back. Until then, I hadn't really treated her differently than any other boy, but at some point, she started to grow into a woman. When I carried her on my back, I was surprised that was what a girl felt like. I mean, at that age, I don't think she would have felt much different than a guy anyway, but maybe it's like a psychological difference.
あの時はごめんね。ありがとう。
Bro, you would have done the same for me. Like, clearly she would have.
今さらなんだよ。僕とお前の仲だろ。
幼馴染ってやっぱりいいね。
It really is. Serika sounded happy, but the tone of her voice quickly dropped.
あ、でも、のんちゃんの幼馴染のあの子は、のんちゃんやタクを悩ませてるんだよね。困ったね。
Well, it's like stress, but yeah. Wait. Hang on. Oh, wait, no. No, it's this line.
お前も気をつけろよ。昔地下施設で南沢千里を目撃したのは僕だけじゃないんだからな。
Okay, I want to do this line again.
あ、でも、
Listen.
のんちゃんの幼馴染のあの子は、のんちゃんやタクを悩ませてるんだよね。困ったね。
I think I'm just too Higurashi pilled right now. Onoe is not voiced by the same voice actor that does Rena in Higurashi, right? Cause the way she talked there really suddenly was like, it felt like I was like hearing Rena talk in Higurashi for a second there. I feel like I'm going crazy. I must be tired.
大丈夫だよ。きっとタクが守ってくれるから。
Aww.
あれ？もしかして守ってくれないの？
She's so freaking cute.
いや、そういうわけじゃない。ただ、
She's such a goober. I fell silent, but I could tell that Serika was nodding to herself on the other side of the phone.
ああ、そっか。それで迷って るんだね。
And then, even though I hadn't said anything, she seemed to realize my problem. Could I really kill someone if it meant saving someone?
でもね、タク。
Yeah?
多分のんちゃんなら相手が幼馴染でも親友でもタクを守るためにためらわないでやっつけると思うんだ。
That's kind of sweet, reassuring, and horrifying to be talking about to this happy-go-lucky music. Like, oh, don't worry, I'm sure she'd kill people for you. It's like, oh, okay.
もちろん私もだよ。タクのためならどんなことでもするし、誰にも負けないと思う。絶対に。
Why are you talking like that? That's really weird. Right? Like, I'm not crazy here, right? Like, she said, I'd do anything for you, and I don't think I'd lose to anyone ever. That's too confident. Why is she so sure she would be able to do anything? That's really, really weird.
尾上。
タクはどうかな。
Maybe she was right. Kurusu would probably kill her friend if it were the only way to protect us.
でも、そんなことクルスにさせていいわけない。
If the woman really was Minimasawa Senri, it wasn't Kurusu who needed to do it. It was me, right? That's right. It's the only way to overcome my past trauma, too.
あ、でも今日は18日だよね。
どうしたいきなり。
We should be safe until, what is it? Like, was it the 22nd? Following Setika's conversation was as impossible as ever.
あのね、次の事件はすぐには起きないんじゃないかなって。
すぐに起きない？
I looked at the calendar, then realized.
次は23日か。
23rd. Since these killings seem to be following the new gen madness, the next murder would probably be on the 23rd. After that would be finger food on October 28th, DQN puzzle on November 4th. If we could get through the 23rd, we'd be safe for a while.
だからそれまでは安全かも。
I don't know. Setika doesn't seem to be operating on the same scale. Like, they don't really know that, but I don't feel like she's following that pattern.
とはいえ、23日になったら24時間逃げ回らなきゃいけないんだよな。
だったらその日はみんなで一緒にいようよ。ずっと。
I don't know. That also kind of makes it easy for whoever's hunting us.
いくら恨みを持ってるからってみんなのいる場所に堂々と出てくるなんてできないんじゃないかな。
なるほど。やっぱりそういう作戦しかないか。
If we could avoid the murder that way, we'd win.
部活のみんなにも協力してもらって深夜までやってるお店に入っちゃうとか、佐久間先生さえ許してくれれば青葉寮で合宿してもいいかも。
Interesting. Although again, I really don't want to draw anybody here.
尾上、お前意外と考えてるんだな。
なんかすっごく褒められちゃった。
She's a goober, though. No, it's not. It's not a compliment at all. But whatever. Whenever I was in trouble or worried about something, Setika always had been there to listen to me. She was one of the few people who really understood me. Of course, I was too embarrassed to tell her that, and I had no plans ever to do so. Still, though, it's really like, that's gonna be like a little worm in my head. I'm making a mark of this right now. The way she was talking, I'm worried she's more involved than she sounds. Like, the confidence that she said, I wouldn't lose to anyone ever. Like, this idea that she not only would be capable of killing somebody to protect Taku, but that she would never, like, she wouldn't doubt for a second that she could take down anybody, including Pyromancy Girl. So that's either like really brave based on being kind of stupid, like not like, oh, I'm an airhead, like genuine, like not understanding the risks involved. Or there's a lot more to her than meets the eye. But that's odd though, because I would assume if she were like special, she would have reacted more to the faces. Like, she doesn't like the faces, so maybe she is, but she didn't have a crazy reaction when we went down to the basement of the hospital. Or if she did, she hid it really well.
タク、おやすみ。いい夢見てね。
Sweet dreams.
ああ、おやすみ。
I hung up and looked at the calendar on the wall again.
10月23日。犯人はどう動き、どんな犯罪を犯すんだろう。
Yeah, that's the real question. What's gonna happen now?
それは本当に何らかのメッセージなんだろうか。そして狙われているのはこの僕か。
I'm not sure you're the target, bud. If it's a message, I actually don't think it's a message. I think they're just recreating what led the Noah 2 fire. The whole point of the new gen killings and everything that Nozomi was doing at the time was to push was to activate more gigalomaniacs. Specifically, I think they did want to trigger Taku, right? There was a big motivation was they needed more grafting, like the mapping the brains, to really pull off their device. But they also needed to have emotions running high throughout all Shibuya. And getting people wound up around the killings was a method of doing that. And we're seeing similar things happen here with like some of the fierceness of crowds. I mean, think about leading up to the last one, how there were like random people putting on like the masks and going shopping. We don't know if that was real or if that was hallucination, but still like weird stuff was happening around that time, pointing that there's another kind of building of a mass hysteria going on. So whatever they're doing, I'm guessing it's not going to be the same type of device per se, but they're using similar tactics to try and bring about something.
それとも
Just like we'd expected, nothing happened over the next few days. We're just going to skip over that. There were no sign of the woman and no new arson cases, which meant no news about the case. I knew Judgment Day was drawing near, though, so so rather than screwing around like I did before, I was trying to figure out how to use my power to protect myself and everyone else. Then, in the midst of our everyday lives, with the same unchanging days just repeating, we slowly greeted the dawn of October 23rd. Oh boy.
とりあえず今のところは何もなしか。
Don't sound so bored or so like nonchalant. The day's not over yet.
よかったっすね、宮代先輩。これもわざわざひなえちゃんが付き合ってあげてるおかげっすよ。感謝の印として今度専属屋のマンゴーフルーツパフェごちそうしてくださいね。
Frankly, I know you're being just like you're just joking around, but honestly, if I were in his shoes, I'd be like, tell you what, we get to midnight and nothing happens to us, I'll buy you 3.
何言ってんだ。お前だって狙われてるかもしれないだろ。お互い様ってやつだ。
うわー、ドケチ
You stop it.
ちょっとみんな気を抜くのが早すぎるわ。問題はこれからなんだから。
I agree. Because if we can't stay in school late, we have to leave. That's going to put us at the highest risk. Nothing has happened during school. We'd made sure nobody was alone during break periods and it paid off. Hey, Uki!
なんだ山添。
私も一緒にここにいてよかったんでしょうか。学園の生徒でもないのに。
Frankly, you're not a student anywhere, and I'd rather have you close.
今日は特別だ。君だって能力者なんだから狙われないとも限らないだろ。
そういうこと。今日が無事に終わるまで絶対に私たちと離れてはダメよ。はい。
Aw, Yamazawa seemed uncomfortable in this new environment all day.
で、これからどうすんだ？
そろそろ学校も人が少なくなるし、移動した方がいいわね。
渋谷で遅くまで空いている店へ行こう。悪いけど、みんなも付き合ってくれるか？
Are we gonna go back to that cafe, maybe?
しょうがないっすね。その代わり、宮代先輩のおごりでよろしく。
Okay, see, I thought she was gonna try and do another one. Like, what, are you trying to hit on me? Or like kind of weird pseudo flirting that's not flirting.
有村、他のメンバーはともかく、お前は割り勘だ。
Aww.
先輩ひどい。鬼、悪
Call me whatever you want.
それでどこ行くの？
カラオケとか？
できれば懐的に優しいところにしてくれ。
だとすると行き先はいつものあそこだね。
Usual. Yeah, I thought so.
よう来たの。ゆるりと過ごしてゆくがよい。どうも。お主たちか。好きな席に座ってよいぞ。
Alright, who are you? You're way too prevalent a character to just be a background character. What are you supposed to be? Weird. We chose to sit by the window with a good view. Cafe Lax took over a whole floor of classy two-story building business near Shibuya's residential district. Thanks to the window seat, we were able to see all around the building, and if it showed up, we'd be able to spot the pyrokinetic Minamisawa Senri, if that's who she was, immediately.
閉店までここにいられるね。
そのためにはたくさん注文しなきゃ。
すみません。
もう一度確認しとくぞ。有村は自腹だからな。
どれ？注文は決まったのか？忙しいからさっさとオーダーするように。
And see, your smooth response to Arimura complaining would have been like, I mean, if you want to make this a date, I might pay for it. She'd be like, what? Ew. And he'd be like, well, there you go.
店員さん、忙しいなら私もお店の手伝いをしますので。
No, you can't. Stop it.
は？
こらこら山添、客は手伝わなくていいんだからな。ていうか手伝っちゃダメだからな。
Oh my gosh. She has a Garo Froggy backpack. Why has nobody mentioned this yet? Or if someone has, I didn't see it.
そうなんですか？
そうなんです。
私はここからここまで全部お願いします。
You're paying for that.
だから有村、どさくさに紛れてそういう注文するな。お前には絶対におごらないからな。
Why are you complaining? Are you just used to getting your way? I think she's just messing with us, but she keeps pushing it. Just take a nap.
お前、何うなってんだよ。
さっき食べたシュークリームのクリームが髪についちゃって。
How? Wait, what? You ate it, but it got in your hair. How did that even happen? How did she pull that off when she has that her hair that short? Don't do that. I'm gonna be on.
放ってば大きなあくび。
伊藤もだ。いくらなんでも気を抜きすぎだろ。
Oh gosh, it actually happened. Stop it.
それにお行儀が悪いわよ。
んなこと言ったってしょうがないだろ。何時間もただだらっとしてるだけなんだから。
Well, that's the point, right? We've been at Cafe Lax for 4 hours already. At first, everyone had been tense and alert, but it seems like we were starting to hit our limits. Arimura and I seemed to be relaxing a little. If we were alone, we would have been afraid, but now we're surrounded by our friends. And if you add in the waitress and the other customers, there were even more people here now. I couldn't imagine someone just barging in and attacking us. Unless they don't care about casualties and, innocent bystanders.
おいこら、お主ら。
What, are you gonna kick us out? The waitress had walked over at some point when I wasn't looking out the window and was standing next to me.
一体何時間粘るつもりじゃ。これ以上注文せんのならいい加減。
It's fair, honestly. Like, she has that right.
ああ、します、注文。メニューください。
I guess we had to order extra after all. It was only natural, but it was putting a dent in my budget for the month.
おれ、メニューじゃ。
She's so annoyed.
ありがとうございます。タク、何頼む？
Sedeka took the menu and handed it to me.
そうだな。なるべく安いものと。
Cheap, cheap, cheap. As I flipped through the menu, I saw.
Huh?
Uh-oh. What? No! No! It's a trap! It's a trap! That's the Suo sticker. Oh, fetch me. Oh no. And we're butting at our power. What if we do something here? I felt horribly dizzy. My vision started to get blurry. I felt horrible. It hurt to breathe.
あの夜と同じだ。
Yeah, the 11th Rorschach, which had tortured Arimura and I the night we were attacked by the pyrokinetic, was right in front of me. Everything started to go dim.
ダメだ。こんな時。
Seneca, you didn't do this to us intentionally, did you? Stay strong. Hang in there. Shut it. Shut it. Hang in there. Hang in there. And he's out. Okay, I managed to get a hold of myself. Where did everyone go? I don't understand. How?
クルス。お前。
Oh no.
人。
Oh no, it's probably a delusion. It's probably a delusion. Where?
和樹。有村。山添。
They're gone. Not just my friends, but even the waitress disappeared. Oh crap! Actually, this reminds me of the Taku, first Taku. He had this happen to him, where everyone vanished for a while. But that was when he was being communicated with by, Taku Prime, like Takumi. Everybody's gone.
嘘だろ。誰かいないのか。
I called out to the back of the cafe, but there's no sign that anyone was there.
くそ、なんでだよ。
Oh no. The sound. It's her. But I don't think it's her. I think it's a delusion.
この音。
All the other sounds had disappeared from the world. The music that had been playing in the cafe was gone. So were the sounds of the cars that sometimes passed by the road. There was nothing but strange silence and dark gloom. I could only hear one thing now. The terrifying sound. She was getting closer. Their footsteps were coming up the stairs to the cafe. Shivering with fear, I forced myself to quietly open the door to the cafe and then snuck out into the landing. Trembling, I looked down the stairs to the first floor. There I saw. Oh, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real.
あいつは。
Come on, our eyes meet. Our eyes meet for an instant. I saw those eyes like cold fire looking up at me from beneath the hair that covered her whole face. I knew it. That was...
あれはこの前のパイロキネシスト。南沢千里。
And almost as if she could sense my fear. Minamisawa Senri looked right at me and smiled. That was the smile of a beast that had found its prey. It's not real. It's not real. Chapter 8, Betrayal. Oh, no. It better not be. It better not have been. If our best friend stabbed us in the back, I am going to be so mad. Because she handed us the menu that had the sticker in it. Gosh darn it. She was saying weird stuff, but she made it sound like she didn't want us to die. Why would she do that? I gritted my teeth to keep myself from screaming and ran back into the cafe. That's a bad idea, dude. She'll set it on fire. I closed the door and as quietly as I could. Gosh darn it. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm so scared. She's going to kill me. 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 Minamisawa Senri is going to kill me. Ooh. I tried to scream for help, but my voice got caught in my throat. No, even if I'd been able to scream, no one was there to help me. Kurusu was gone, Setaka was gone. So was Ito, Arimura, Akazuki, Yamazawa. Even the waitress had disappeared. And the light seemed to have turned into a more faded yellow too. The cafe was much darker than usual. I was too scared to speak or do anything except slowly move backward, away from the door. Finally, I hit the wall and found myself with nowhere to run. No. Oh, crap. I'm really worried about that because I'm worried. This never really happened in the first game, but I kind of wondered if the main reason why they kept trying to force him to draw his D-sword wasn't just to help him, you know, manifest as a gigalomaniac. I wondered if they would ever use a delusion to make him do stuff. Like, I mean, we saw that with, shoot, what was her name? Shoot, I know it. She was my favorite character. Senna. With Senna, with her dad, they had the whole sequence where the guy, Suwa, like, flipped his and her dad's, like, spots, like, diluted that they were switched places. And so she ended up killing her own dad, right? So that's what I'm worried is going to happen here, is that this whole setup is meant to make us, as Taku, do something terrible to somebody else without realizing it. Like, what if we killed Arimura? Like, what if that's what we end up doing here? We become the killer for this round. I could knock the flames away. I tried desperately to psych myself up for the fight. But it was nowhere in sight. The D-sword. The D-sword didn't appear. No matter how much I tried to concentrate, the terror won out and my D-sword refused to appear. Unfortunately, it's a good sign this is a delusion, but you don't know that. I could hear the loud clicking of a heel against the floor past the entrance to the cafe and the sound of a leg sliding on the ground. She was coming to bring me merciless death. I looked around and saw a door on the other side of the kitchen. It was the employee bathroom. I flung myself away from the wall and ripped open the door and went inside. Then I locked the door with my shaking hands. There was no windows inside the bathroom. I'd run inside without even bothering to turn on the lights, so it was pitch black. In that cramped and closed space, my heart started to pound fast and my breathing became heavy. And then, oh, whoa, she doesn't come in here. Maybe I'm safe. Then I hear the sound of flames as she sets the building on fire with me trapped inside. Obviously, when you're scared, you're not going to think straight, but come on. She's going to hear me. I need to be quiet. I put my hand over my mouth and stifled the sound. I hurt to breathe, but if I couldn't be quiet, she'll find me and kill me. Minamisawa Senri's footsteps finally reached this floor, and then she suddenly stopped. All I could hear now was an eerie silence. I could almost sense somehow that she was looking for me. Just go away. Leave me alone. the door. I prayed, but it was a waste of time. She came inside the cafe. The footsteps started again. Slowly, slowly. The woman slowly moved around the cafe. Oh gosh. I could hear her dragging her leg from one side of the cafe to the other as if she was toying with me. Each time she moved, she knocked glasses and cups to the floor where they shattered. All I could do was try not to scream. I remembered all the horrible ways the other psychics had died. Don't look, audio bleed, revolving deads, morbidly obese. Just like the others, would anguish be the last thing I felt as they stripped away my humanity and brutalized my body? No, I don't want to die like that. How much time had passed after that? I don't know. Suddenly, Minasawa Senri's footsteps started to get further and further away. Couldn't tell from here, but it felt like she might be about to leave. Fire time. I concentrated as hard as I could on listening to those eerie footsteps. I wouldn't trust that. I could hear the drawer open and close, and then with that awful dragging sound again, this time going down the stairs. And soon after, there was no sound at all. Okay, I understand you're upset, man, and you probably were holding your breath, but come on. I panted in relief. I'm not going to be a victim of the return to new gen madness after all. Oh, fetch me, that's even worse. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. It was so utterly unexpected I couldn't stop myself from screaming. The knocking stopped for an instant. I could sense that someone was looking at me from the other side of the flimsy door. Oh gosh, the knocking started again. I wonder if it's like the rhythm is meant to be almost hypnotic. And slowly but steadily it continued. The interval between each knock was identical to the mechanical. Knock, 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 knock. Knock, 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 knock. I tried to get as far away from the door as I could. But the bathroom was tiny, there was nowhere to run. I won't let her just kill me here. I'll catch her on my darn self. Can I really beat a pyrokinetic with my bare hands? The thought flashed through my mind for an instant, but I knew I couldn't take on terror anymore. I was at my limit. I screamed, unlocked the door, and slammed into it as hard as I could. Who was it? The bathroom door opened with a bang. It was Sadaka. You okay? Overcome with terror, I screamed and slammed the person in front of me to the floor. But at the last minute, someone grabbed my head from the side. A pleasant scent that I knew very well filled my nose.
Huh?
Okay, back to life.
Kurusu.
Kurusu was right next to me, holding me. And... Aww. Oh gosh. The person I knocked to the floor is Sadaka. I had to hit her any harder, I would have badly hurt her.
Miyashiro senpai, すっげー大胆。こんな場所でセリの初めてを奪おうとするなんて。
You stop that.
違う。そんなことより。
I shook off Kurusu's arm and stood up.
あの女は。
あの女？
Everyone looked confused. Sayaka stood up, rubbed her butt, and started to look around the room.
あの女って誰？
だから今ここにいたろ。僕を殺そうとして。っていうか、お前らこそ今までどこにいたんだよ。
Okay, so I understand that these delusions are going to feel very real. Trying to tell somebody that a delusion is not real would be like trying to tell yourself in a dream it's not real. You can do it, but it's hard because it just feels so natural and right at the time. But I feel like we've talked about these things enough and experienced them enough. He should be able to understand now that he's surrounded by other people, and it all kicked off when he looked at the sticker, that it probably wasn't real. Like, I know he can't do that. It's not reasonable to expect that, but it's frustrating.
あ？どこって、ずっとここにいたぞ。
Ito stood up from the sofa by the window. Yamazawa and Kazuki were standing next to him with surprised looks on their faces.
なあ、お主ら、少しばかり騒がしいの。これ以上迷惑になるようなら、即刻出て行ってもらうが。
Even the waitress was here too.
そんな。確かに僕は襲われたんだ。しかも店には誰もいなくて。
Dude, think about it for just 10 seconds. Was that just a dream?
いや、違う。夢なんかじゃない。何もかもリアルだった。
Dreams can be like that too. Maybe I'm also like biased here because again, I have super vivid dreams. I have dreams that I wake up from and I'm surprised that they weren't real. Like, but of course they tend to come with like backlogs too. Like I'll dream. I even have these, my dreams get insane. I have senses of touch, temperature, like sensations of textures, flavor. Like I could eat things in dreams and it feels like I'm eating them. Like it's a real thing. It's very, very powerful dreams. I have two kinds of dreams that are very notable. The first are my lucid and semi-lucid dreams. These are fairly common. The semi-lucid are almost every night. But true lucid dreams, at least once or twice a year. True lucid dreams are the ones where I control everything in the dream and just basically do whatever I want. It's very fun. Semi-lucid dreams are the dreams where I'm immersed in it and it feels very real, but there's moments where if it starts getting a little too scary, I'll like recognize it's a dream and I can force it to change. I can't like dictate every detail per se, but it'll like, I can kind of like jump tracks into something else. Very fun. Sometimes I have these recurring dreams, and they kind of tend to happen once or twice a year around the same time. And I remember them enough now because I started writing them down and keeping track of some of the dreams that are like, if I wake up and I have had a really vivid dream, I'll write it down. And I'll have a few that every year I'll repeat, but I'll repeat in an interesting way, where I'll remember getting into the dream and I'll remember all the other dreams I've had in the past. And usually I end up replaying a part of it as well. Everything basically happens exactly the same, but then I extend it a little further, like the dream continues on, like the story continues. And then when I wake up, I remember most of it. And I remember in those situations, I can recall basically an entire lifetime of memories. Now, obviously, most of them are probably fake, but like I will recall just so much stuff. There's a recurring dream I have that like is a post-apocalyptic world, where I know like large amounts of flooding is a part of it, but it's not like water world type of flooding. It's more just like large cities became uninhabitable, and basically people were traveling in caravans trying to like survive off of like, you know, hunting gathering type stuff. And I just remember specifically there's times where we would go swimming to try and recover supplies that were in buildings that had been submerged in the floodwaters. And that's a dream I have I can almost clock it. I'll have that dream basically every January or February, like somewhere in that time of the year, I'll have that dream again. And it's been doing this for years. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to relate it with. But at the same time, I'm so used to just having that like underlying understanding, no matter how real my dreams feel. There's always a part of me that kind of knows it's a dream deep down, which is why I never really have nightmares, because if a dream starts getting intense where it's like feeling like scary, I'll just suddenly kind of have that semi-lucid thought of like, this isn't real. And I'll kind of like concentrate and I'll just jump into a different dream. I can't control what dream I'll jump into, but I jump into something. And so it means I don't typically have nightmares, because anytime I would start having what would be called a nightmare, I can just jump away from it. I've had a couple that I couldn't quite jump away from, but usually that's because they were more intense. They weren't actually like nightmares. They were just like nail biting or really like not just, it's odd. I don't know why I'm rambling about this, but I'm trying to say that like it's hard for me to relate here, because like while I understand that that delusion feels basically real, I still feel like he should be able to snap back out of it in time. Heck, but you know what? Tell you what, maybe my headcanon is going to be, if I lived in the universe where gigalomaniacs were, and I was a gigalomaniac, or heck, maybe if I wasn't a gigalomaniac, but maybe I would be one of those people who could pierce through some delusions, because there'd be some part of my brain that could recognize the difference and would be able to kind of nudge me out of it. Because could you imagine if you were like facing, say, a normal person like me as a gigalomaniac? So you cause a delusion that alters reality, but then I could pierce through it and revert things back. That'd be cool. Be like a grounding force. All right, that's my new headcanon. If I were in the universe of the Chaos Head, Chaos Child, that would be like my power. If I'd either be a gigalomaniac whose ability is disrupting delusions of others, or I wouldn't be a gigalomaniac, but I would have that grounding effect all the same. Like I would be like so like sure of like reality that it would be hard or next to impossible to truly delude me or to bring me into a delusion. I think that'd be fun. That almost feels like a fan story I could write. I could still remember the sound of her leg dragging, the sound of the knocking at the door. Just thinking of them made me shiver.
ってことは、これもあの女の南沢千里の能力なのか。偽のカフェラックスを作り出し、僕だけを閉じ込めて。
I thought she was just a pyrokinetic. Could she do that as well?
いや、それとも彼女の手助けをしている能力者がいるのか。
Either way, the possibility we discussed at the newspaper club meeting was right and in a bad way. Multiple people.
ちょっと大丈夫、タクル。ひどい汗よ。
Kurusu took out a handkerchief from her pocket and started to gently wipe the sweat from my forehead. But her hand suddenly froze. She looked at me, her face pale.
タクル、あなた、目から血が。
Oh, fetch. Oh, no, that's bad. That means there was someone else here. Whoever's at the murder scenes, they're here. There were... Oh, no. Wait a minute.
Huh?
I put my hand up to my eyes, surprised. When I tried to rub them, I felt something slick. When I looked down at my hands, they were bright red. I could see blood in the handkerchief, too. I had been so scared and tense that the blood vessels around my eyes had burst.
どうしたのそれ。
大丈夫か、宮代。
Think. Come on. I remember I had the same thing when she was at the murder scene. Something bad has happened in the area.
父さんに見てもらわなきゃ。行こう、タク。
No, we don't leave. We do not leave. Kurusu and Seneca tried to drag me out of the cafe. I could see Ito, Arimura, Kazuki, and Yamazawa in the corner of my eye trying to figure out what to do. I turned to them and said,
伊藤、有村、和樹、山添、お前たちも一緒に。
はい。私もいいんですか？こんな時間に？
遠慮なんかしてる場合じゃない。能力者がターゲットにされてるのは間違いないんだ。今日が終わるまでとにかく離れちゃダメだ。
We left Cafe Lax and headed to Aoba Clinic. The Aoba Clinic. God, we shouldn't have left. We really shouldn't have left.
ああ、特に目に異常はねえな。角膜も綺麗なもんだし、血圧もほぼ正常と。
That's actually surprising. I thought it was going to be a blood pressure, like some kind of like blood vessels bursting in the back of our eyes or something. Dad nodded as he looked at me.
頭痛はするか？体のどこかが痺れるとかは？
特には。
視界の一部が欠けてたり、狭くなったりもしてないな？
うん。
It's so interesting. I've never bled out of my eyes, but I did have like a small surgical procedure that like around my orbital cavity, and it bruised my eye. And when you bruise your eye, instead of like, because like when you get a bruise, it like turns blue and black, and that's blood that's pooled under your skin that you can see. So when you bruise your eye, because there's not skin, it's just like a thin, clear layer. It just fills the white part of your eye with blood and it just looks bright red for a while. It's really crazy.
そっか。なら大丈夫だ。
本当に？もっとよく見て。
She's right. She's like, he was crying blood. Are you sure that's not a problem? Kurusu was sitting next to me worried. Aw, she's like crying.
さっきからそればっかだな、お前。
だって。
Yeah, like she has tears in her eyes. Aw, she's so sweet.
まぶたの裏に血管があって、稀にそれが切れることがある。ひどい緊張や興奮をして力が入ったり、踏ん張ったりするとな。覚えがないか、タクル？
Yeah, that sounds about right. I remembered the attack at Cafe Lax and shivered, but I nodded before Dad could see.
だろ？それが原因だよ。心配ない。
Dad called up my chart on the computer, the same one he'd been using since I was in a coma. He started to type something. Oh man, you gotta imagine if you like lived with your like a father that was a doctor. Your medical rap sheet would be insane, especially if you like like this, where he's like calls it up and makes notes in it at home. It'd be like every bloody nose, every like little like weird sneeze.
おいおい、ノノ。そんなおっかない顔で睨むなって。
I mean, like, what do you want? Do you want me to invent a problem?
タクルに何かあったらどうする気？
わかったわかった。
Dad stopped typing and opened another page on the chart.
タクル、紹介状書いてやるから、明日また頭の中の写真撮ってこい。
Wait, again?
でも。
いいからいいかって。可愛い娘が怒って、口聞いてくれなくなったら困るんだよ。
Alright, honestly, fair. I also think this could be interesting because now that we've gone through this, alright, I was gonna say like maybe we will now have like the brainstem issues we were seeing before, but Arimura had this same thing where she was in the like the victims like in the love hotel. She was crying blood out of her eyes, and she didn't have that on her scan, so that's not quite it then. Dad wrote me another referral to the same hospital as before, which was finally enough to satisfy Nono.
ああ、そうだ、ノノ。お前、自分もまだ病み上がりだってこと忘れんなよ。
He's got a point.
ああ、うん。そうね。ごめんなさい。
わかってりゃいい。
Dad smiled. Kurusu and I thanked Dad and then went up to the dining room where the rest of the group was waiting.
ああ、ウキ。私アップルティー。
Hi, everyone.
私も。
Sadaka, of course.
わかりました。伊藤さんは？
コーヒー、ブラックで。
When then we got to the dining room, Yamazawa was running around getting drinks for everybody. That's very sweet of her. I looked at the clock. It was about 11 p.m. There was just one more hour until October 23rd was over.
で、さっき何があったのかちゃんと説明してくれるんですよね、宮代先輩。
Yeah. Arimura looked at me as she sipped her apple tea. She had the same joking voice as she used at school, but her eyes were serious. She seemed to have come up with her own ideas of what might have happened to me. Her eyes were gloomy as they were when we first met. And she's going to be able to tell the truth, too. So she'll be able to verify that we absolutely saw what we saw, even though if it wasn't real.
話すよ。例のパイロキネシストのことだから。
南沢千里。
I glanced at Kurusu for just a second. I thought she wouldn't want to hear that her old friend might be a serial killer.
クルス、もし嫌なら。
No, she'd be like, are you kidding me? I have to be here.
自分の部屋に戻っててくれ。父さんかユイのところへ行っててもいいし。
ちゃんと聞かせて。
クルス。
聞きたいの。だからここにいる。
Alright, just take it, man. Go.
そっか。じゃあ。
I sat down in a chair at the dining table, and after a moment's hesitation, slowly began to describe what happened to me at Cafe Lax. As I talked, the terror started to come back to me, and my hands were soon covered in a nasty sweat. I didn't want to look bad in front of everyone, but I couldn't stop my voice from shaking. Is he gonna talk about how the freaking Rorschach picture, the sumo face, was in the freaking menu? Feels like a pretty critical piece of information.
それでその後は知っての通りだ。ドアを飛び出したら外はいつも通りのカフェに戻ってた。
There was silence for a moment after I finished. Arimata especially seemed to be lost in thought, because she's like, she's like, he's not lying. That was, of course, because Minamisawa Senri was probably after me, her, and Yamazawa.
殺されてたまるか。
Ooh. She whispered that in a low voice and suddenly stuck out her hand in the air.
おい。
Ooh, Yamazawa and I moved away surprised. Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah, Arimata had suddenly drawn her D-sword.
お前、何を。
決まってるでしょ。武器ですよ。
武器。
あんたも出せるんだよね、ウキ。もしあいつが現れたら戦う。手伝いなさい。
I like how he's like, wait, a weapon? It's like, they're called a D-sword? Like, did...
戦うって私そんな。いいから早く。
Oh, don't force her, but I kind of do want to see what her sword looks like. Yamazawa tried to shake her head to say no, but when Arimata glared at her threateningly, she bit her lip. And then she reached out her hand. Oh! Whoa! That looks sick! A giant sword appeared in her hand, too. It's like it has a freaking skull on it. Aww. Yeah, sometimes, like, to draw these swords, you have to, like, really go to a dark place, so that sucks.
宮代先輩も早く。
そんなこと急に言われても、どうやって抜いたらいいかわからないんだ、それ。
役に立ちませんね。
Okay, calm down. I could hear how annoyed she was. It had been a long time since I'd seen her act this cold.
ねえ、何？どうしたの？
Yeah, right. They haven't real booted them, so you can't see them.
一体何の話してんだよ。
The others couldn't see a D-sword. All they saw was Yamazawa and I freaking out.
私たちこの前、南沢千里に襲われました。そして今日も宮代先輩が。こんなのもう我慢できない。だから。
Arimata looked at the sword in her hand and cackled.
この手で事件を終わらせてやります。
Oh, don't.
南沢千里を殺して。
No, don't do it.
ちょっと待って。
Yeah, don't try and go out there. Everyone turned around to look at Kurusu. She probably knew she was getting too emotional about the situation because she was hesitating more than I'd ever seen before.
あのね、千里が犯人って、本当のことなの？
証拠はまだ、あの ID カードと、僕らの証言しかない。けど。
慰霊碑には、あの子の名前がちゃんとあるのよ。 それは何かのミスじゃないですか。A1 東京総合病院のデータでは行方不明になっていたんですよね。
To be fair, a lot of databases start with missing until they confirm death.
けど、私見たんだもの。私の目の前で、千里は瓦礫に潰されて。
Really? What? That's new. She must have been remembering something painful. She put her hands to her chest and her nails dug in deep. But then Arimata raised her eyebrows so high I could see it from here. She's telling the truth.
クルス先輩。どうして嘘をつくんですか？
Wait, no. Why? What?
え？
Yeah, what? Shocked, I glanced at them from one to the other. Arimata was staring at Kurusu with suspicious eyes. But Kurusu's expression remained unchanged to the point where it almost seemed unnatural.
クルス先輩の今の言葉は嘘です。
What? Okay, that doesn't seem right. The only way I could imagine that could be a lie is if, like... So what if she were, like, deluded into thinking she saw that when she didn't? And so she thinks that, but, like, part of her knows it's not true? I don't know. Arimata's power allowed her to tell when someone was lying. In other words, Kurusu is definitely lying right now. But Kurusu looked at Arimata dead in the eyes as she spoke.
嘘なんかじゃないわ。いいえ。先輩は南沢千里が死んだところを見ていません。あなたの能力というのがどのくらい正確なのか私は知らない。けれど彼女はもうこの世にはいないわ。そう信じたいだけじゃないんですか？あるいは南沢千里が実は生きているのを知っているとか。
Okay, hang on. I don't like where this is going, especially when you have a weapon in your hand. The two of them glare at each other.
もし仮に。はい。仮に千里が生き延びていたとしても、あの子に殺人なんてできるはずがない。
Kurusu's voice took on a sorrowful note.
千里は、とっても臆病な子だった。小さな虫を殺すこともできないくらい気が弱くて、何かあるとすぐに泣きべさをかいて、だから、いつも誰かの後をついて回っていたわ。
Well, she also was going through a lot of trauma.
もちろん暴力なんて嫌いだったし、血を見るのすら苦手だった。そんな千里が猟奇殺人なんて、私にはどうしても納得がいかない。ありえないわ。どうやら今度は本当のことを言っているようですね。だから
Kurusu's voice was rarely this emotional, but she must have realized that nothing else she said would matter, so she fell silent.
とにかく千里が犯人じゃないとしたら、タクルたちの憶測は完全に間違ってしまっているわ。真犯人が他にいたらどうする気なの？
それは。
Of course, I thought about that possibility. There might be multiple killers. There might be another psychic working with Minamisawa Senri. Or, I would say, what if someone's using her?
でも、だとしても、今日が終わるまでに誰も殺されなければ僕らの勝ち。
Oh, gosh. Oh, no. Everyone leapt out of their chairs and we heard a scream from downstairs. What's that? Yui's voice?
Yui!
Kurusu ran down the stairs. We followed right after her. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yui had fallen backward on the ground near the front desk. Her face was pale, her teeth were chattering. Oh, no.
お姉ちゃん、ねえ、どうしたの？
ユイ、大丈夫か？ユイ。
I don't like how everyone's here. Who's missing? Yuto and Dad grabbed her and held her tight, but she was still shaking. The terror had completely consumed her.
何があったの？ユイ。
What is it? What is it?
お姉ちゃん、しっかりしなさい。
Did she see someone outside, maybe? Kurusu grabbed her cheeks and yelled.
すみの挨拶して。
And because Dad seems here.
おやすみなさい。父さんも無理しないでもう寝たら？
そう思うんだったらノノに意見しといてくれ。あいつのせいで余計な仕事が一つ増えたんだよ。
Okay.
ナナ姉はタクル兄のことになると人が変わるから。
違いねえな。じゃおやすみ。
おやすみ。
Then what?
それで私部屋へ戻ろうとして診察室を出たんだけど、
But then
その時玄関のドアから音が。
was it knocking?
ノックの音が。
Oh no. They are here.
私、休館の人かなって思って、それで返事をしたの。
すみません、今日の診察は終わりなんです。休館でしたら夜間診療のある病院をご紹介しますけど。
It's not the pattern.
どうなさいました？救急車呼んだ方がいいですか？一体何なんですか？いたずらならやめてください。だからやめてください。
私、ものすごく怖くなって、だけど、外を見たの。
And oh, fetch me. Oh no.
もう大丈夫。大丈夫よ、ユイ。
Kurusu gently rubbed her head, and at last the dam burst, and Yui started to cry. Everyone looked at each other pale as we listened to her sob. Arimura and I particularly had gone deathly white as Yui. Knocking. That was the same thing I'd heard at the cafe.
やっぱり、追いかけてきたんだ。
Something did. I could feel my knees shaking. I remembered the knocking and dragging footsteps I'd heard at the cafe, and my heart began to feel overwhelmed with terror. I felt an impulse to run screaming off into the night. But strangely enough, it was Arimura gave in before I did. She gritted her teeth so hard I could hear it from where I was standing, and then she ran toward the front entrance.
おい、有村。
Don't do it. She yanked open the locked door and flung it open. Then she ran out to the streets, flailing her D-sword. You can't kill the...
私はここにいる。くだらない小細工なんかやめて、さっさと殺しに来いよ。
It's very brave of you. Fetch me. No, real boot that thing if you're going to try and use it. She kept swinging her D-sword at the shadows formed by the street's lights.
私はもう逃げも隠れもしない。殺せるもんなら殺してみろって言ってんだ。
Don't tempt fate.
やめろ、有村。何やってるんだよ。
I grabbed Arimura from behind. She'd clearly gone crazy. Her D-sword hadn't been real booted yet, so it just slid right through me. Thank goodness for that. If it had been real booted, I wouldn't have survived.
やだ。離して。殺されるのは嫌。
落ち着け。あいつは僕らがパニックになるのを狙ってるんだ。冷静にならなきゃ負けだ。
なんでこんな目に遭わなきゃならないの。能力なんてなければよかった。こんなものさえなければ。
No, that's so real. When I saw her, I realized I've been making a mistake. For a while now, I thought that I was trying to understand Arimura, but I was wrong. A bratty know-it-all? A normal girl who sometimes got excited and wore a childlike smile? Well, I was always surprised when she did, but I'd always told myself that it was who she really was. But I was wrong. She was a weak little girl whose fate was caught up in events far beyond her control.
そうだ。能力なんてなければ、誰もこんなことに巻き込まれることはなかった。
No one would have been killed. No one would have been tortured in those experiments in the basement. I hate myself for ever being proud of my powers. Why did I even exist? Who gave me these, and why? Aww. Arimoto's body was shaking as I held her. And pathetically enough, I was shaking every bit as much.
Oi, Miyashiro! Arimura!
Ito ran up to us as we sat at the side of the road. Sedaka, Yamazawa, and Kazuki ran after him.
大丈夫か?
ああ、なんとか落ち着いた。
I lied so as not to worry them.
それより部屋へ戻ろう。ここにいたら危ない。いつ襲われるか。
And then Ito cut me off and showed me his phone. I flinched away.
まさか、また正体不明の電話がかかってきたのか。
Ito must have guessed what I was thinking because he quickly shook his head.
違う。よく見ろ、宮代。
Oh, did another victim get caught? I stared at the phone. It had the usual wallpaper, the usual apps. There was nothing out of the ordinary.
気がついたか?
Oh, it's past midnight?
尾上、お前のも見せてくれ。
Sedaka took out her phone out of her pocket and showed it to me. It showed me the same thing Ito's did. The present time and date. 12:03 a.m., October 24th. October 23rd was over.
助かったのか。
I don't know, man. Just because they choose to follow patterns doesn't mean I would believe her heartbeat that it would just guarantee that it was going to be safe. Arimura swung her head around and yanked the phone out of Sedaka's hand. Her fingers were shaking too much to read what it said. She stared at it again and again, and then... Aww. That's the saddest I've ever seen her. Holy crap. This is also probably the most real we've ever seen her. She really, though, she must have gone into this day genuinely thinking she was going to be the next one. All the strength drained from her tiny body, she collapsed onto me. And then she passed out. October 23rd. The day of the return of the new gen madness. We'd managed to survive it. Okay. We're going to end here. That was spicy. That was intense. Oh, God. I need to breathe. Oh, I was really, I was sure something was going to go down. Okay, we learned some important tidbits, right? So, Sedaka is, if there's anyone who seems kind of suspicious, it's Sedaka, because she seemed to be the one that handed us the triggering device, and yet, if she's somehow involved in this, she's playing the best game of blind man's bluff I've ever seen. She'd be the best poker player on the planet. Or something. I don't know what's up with that. The crying eyes thing is definitely something I want to know more about, but it seems to be unrelated per se. Maybe it's like he said, it could be just a stress response, maybe to the stimulation of being nearby, like an intense psychic attack. How, like, the fact that Yui saw, like, Senri is really terrifying because it does seem like she was there, but she wasn't doing the pattern knocking. Why was she knocking, though? That just seems odd. It seems out of character. I'm guessing that we're right on the fact that she's not actually evil. I think she's just kind of on her own, like, psychotic break. And maybe she does blame us for something, so she might be targeting us, but I don't think she's actually directly involved. And then, oh yeah, Uki's freaking death sword of a D sword is pretty freaking cool. And, oh yeah, Kurusu lying about watching Senri die. Like, is it a lie that protects herself? Like, maybe she saw something even worse, and so she made up something to, like, try and justify it? Or did she see, is it partially right and wrong? Maybe rocks did, like something fell and on her and crushed her. Maybe it was what damaged her leg. And Kurusu, out of fear, abandoned her. And she feels like she left her to die and that she had died and blames herself for it because she was a kid and like ran away. It would explain a lot, especially with her whole vigil at the monument, genuinely thinking that like she died. And then if she told the lie and kind of partially and like to the point where she believes herself that like she saw her die, maybe it was the lie she told to like professionals when they were gathering data, and so they chalked her up to death because they had like, oh, we have a witness who saw her die. It's like, that's the best we got. So maybe that's why like she's been marked off as dead, was based on her like testimony, but she didn't die. Okay, you know, that's probably that's gonna be my current general theory about that. Like, that could explain why she would be lying but not feel like she's lying. She's kind of deluded herself into a memory that's less painful than her like watching her friend get partially buried under crushed rubble and like her leg getting crushed, and then she abandoning her out of fear for her own life and feeling that guilt. I could see somebody mentally trying to protect themselves by altering their own memories, even though like deep down they know what they saw. And so when she showed the story, Arimado's like, you're lying, because she is, but she's lying to herself as much as she's lying to everyone else. That's I'm like 90% sure that's what happened now, which sucks. Oh, that sucks. Okay, anyway, it's enough of that. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly did, but I need to get going. So thank you for all your time, especially the patrons and members. I'm so happy to have you around. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope that you keep feeling like that support's been worthwhile. And yeah, let's just keep moving forward and see where we can go from here. So thank you so much. Hope you have a good rest of your day and a good start to your weekend. But until the next video you're watching me, have to see me in next. I'll see you there.